You know when you reach that age where everyone and their mother won't shut up about their credit scores, yet it seems like no one really understands what's so special about those 3 random numbers? That's because credit scores are meaningless, unless you have Credit Karma to show you how to use them. We use those 3 random numbers, plus your financial profile, to help you find your next opportunity. Like a more rewarding credit card, a game plan that helps you pay down debt faster, or a personal loan to help you save more on interest payments each month. Cha-ching! Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
Ampire. Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies. Hi everyone. If you're watching this on YouTube, Callow went full Wizards today for the start of their ugly season. Full Wizards today. A Montrezl Harrell jersey. You know, it's amazing. Like, I think this epitomizes that team. We were chanting MVP at him for about a week.
That's right. I was wrapped up into it that I got a jersey. That's how wrapped up I got into it.
Yeah, we were like calling him a pirate. Wasn't he calling himself a pirate for a while there?
I don't remember the pirate
He's
bit.
something with he's like he had like a knife between his teeth or something. I don't know. He had like an old school pirate look. And then he got into a fight with his teammates, and then they all decided they hated each other and they had to break it up.
Right. Exactly.
Most short-lived fun times in Wizards history.
If you remember, that was what Candace took a hatchet to them. Then they won they went like 10-4.
Yeah.
And it was all the good vibes. And then it went full Lord of the Flies. Everybody hates each other. Brad said, "Not my problem." And they all got moved on.
Yeah, Brad does interviews saying this will get fixed when we trade people. Like, okay. Or I don't know, someone could be a leader. I don't know. We could try that. The coach clearly had no control over anything whatsoever. Yeah. Fun times, guys. Here we go tonight. I looked it up. Their over-under for wins this season is 19.5. So
they're 5 games better than last year?
You'd have to tell me.
I mean,
no offense, Ted. You know I love you and I love your teams. This one I've tuned out because when you hired Winger and Dawkins, I'm like, okay, like we got a plan now. Let's go. And then they've just decided to tell me that we're just going to draft French kids and suck. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even find the energy to get on board with that right now. So call me in a year or 2 or 8, whenever you've decided that this actually is something that will be semi-competitive again, and I will get back into the storyline because I've lost the thread on this one. Like I can't even try to muster up energy to be excited about this because when they're telling you that they're going to be awful purposefully, which I appreciate on some level, it doesn't make me want to it doesn't want to make me learn more.
Well, it's very much with the Wizards. I feel like every season carries over, and it's like, well, you're gonna have to prove this one to me because last year when I tuned in, when you guys were playing the Trailblazers on a Tuesday night, you were getting blown out 130 to 100. So I'm gonna need a couple months of the season just to see if you're worth tuning into as well, because last year was brutal at all times, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just have to take people's word for it, like Standig or people like that who are like mainline them no matter what and like just can't help themselves. And people are probably laughing at me going, you did that with the Commanders for years. And true. True, I did. But we were never trying to be this bad. I guess in the NFL, it's kind of hard to do. It's hard to really do. I don't even think it's really that possible to do it like at that kind of NBA level where 1 or 2 people make such a humongous difference in everything that you do. But I mean, I saw a little of the summer and I'm like, okay, this SAR guy's got size and range, but there was no superstar qualities that were like jumping off the page. And everyone tells me Bilal's really good and I believe it, but not like Kevin Durant good. Like the things that I saw were not like that. This feels a little Nats to me where you keep telling me you're going to do these things and you keep bringing in these young people. And until that James Wood guy showed up, I hadn't seen one dude who looked the part of, oh, we're going to be really good again. And so that's where I am on the Wizards. Like, that's where I am on them. It's like, it's hard for me to really get it excited because it's like, you guys know your plan. I don't know it. I didn't know it involved so many French guys who are teenagers. I didn't realize that. So at me when you guys are actually competitive, because you've already told me you're not going to be. So I don't know what to think of any of it.
Two-parter here. Do not ever compare them to the Nationals. The Nationals were very good for 7 years, won a championship, and had to rebuild, and they got the benefit
My
of the
fault,
doubt.
Mr. Lerner and Mr. Rizzo. My fault.
I'm just saying they don't belong in the same stratosphere because that team hasn't done anything that team has done. So I'm going to correct you on that.
They had a couple of good teams. And you know me, like, it's hard for me to admit this because I'm so dying for a good NBA team. Like, I am thirsty for that one to happen again.
We all are.
So ready for it, but it's clearly not happening anytime soon.
Yes, correct.
Like, no time soon.
No, and I'm always the one that has to remind people of, like, when Gilbert Arenas was an MVP candidate, that place was sold out every night and 0 jerseys were all around the city. Like, that was always my, like, indication of this place is just dying for anybody to, catch fire. Part two, by the way, you're saying they have all these French guys. Do we bring back Les Boulets? Like that seems like that seems like it fits now.
Yeah,
they're all
Tony's like, wow, I was so ahead of my time on that one.
Print the shirts, man. Let's go.
Les Boulets is a good shirt right now. It's a really, really, really good shirt. It's funny too because that they're opening against Boston. I believe this is their 3rd game in 4 nights. I'm pretty sure it is. Like, I think they've already played a couple. They played the opener a couple nights ago, and then I think they played last night. Like, again, I've lost the storyline here. This would be one of those where you're like, those guys might be really tired. They might knock them off.
No, they opened up on Tuesday, so they were going to play 3 in a row. That's like literally no one's done 3 in a row. So it's 2 and 3 nights.
All right, okay, 2 and 3 nights. For some reason, I don't know. I got my days all mixed up now. Last night I was out with some friends, and I'm like, "Hey, turn on the football game," and they're like, "What football game?" And I go, "It's Thursday, isn't it?" And they're like, "No." And they're like, "Are you talking about Kennesaw State?" And I'm like, "No."
Which was good, by the way.
No, I'm not. Not talking about that.
Yeah.
All right. Meantime, let me talk about the Commanders here a little bit. First, I have nothing on Jayden Daniels. Stop asking me. But I forgot about this part, which this is not a complaint, actually. This is a good thing. But because of the way they're playing now, because of the quarterback we have, I now have to get accustomed to people are going to text me all day for updates. And I haven't had that in a very long time. Like, I can't tell you how many people were texting me yesterday. Like, is he practicing? Is he going to play? Like, I'm like, oh man, are we back and better than ever when that's happening? I forgot about that. It's been a while for that one. Like, nobody was calling me about Heineke's availability. Nobody was doing that. Nobody was asking me, where can I get the Nikes he buys after they win? Nobody was doing that. Like, nobody wanted shades on planes. But now, holy cow, if you're doing unscientific poll of how things have, like, filtered down, people that I didn't even know were that into football are texting me, asking me about him. Is he okay? What's the real scoop on his ribs? Like, I can't even tell you. So I'll just tell you all publicly. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not being cagey about it. I don't. I know he has a rib injury. I don't know the severity of it. So that's all I could give you. But I do appreciate your checking in with me, and you think they would tell me this, assuming I wouldn't tell you. Like, I appreciate you think I would know this, but I'm not a doctor, and hate to break it to you, they don't share that stuff with me. And I also don't pry. I like my job.
Well, I would also say this. If this is you yesterday, Wednesday, can't wait to see what your phone looks like on Friday and Saturday. And Sunday morning if it's undecided. So good luck with that. Correct.
Like, I have I don't know them, Dan Quinn, well enough to know how he's going to play this one. I would play it like he could play. I would make no determination on Friday whatsoever. That's how I would play it. And, wink, wink, we know what we're going to do, but like, you'll find out on Sunday. That's how I would play it. But I don't know. I don't know how they're going to play this. All I can tell you is he didn't practice yesterday. I was there. I don't know I couldn't even tell you now. Like, I don't want to sit here and guess. I don't know whether he's practicing or not. I do know he's in the building. I do know they're not even thinking about putting him on IR. I do know that that there is a collective few. It wasn't horrible. Otherwise, they would have put him on IR. But will he play this weekend? I don't know. Sorry, I can't help you. If that's a disappointment because you assume you have a friend who is on the inside, these are the ones where I don't get the information, and I hate to break it to you. And it's a little embarrassing because you'd think I would know these things, but I don't. And it's also not my place to ask, honestly. I'm one of those that I go, you'll tell me when you tell me. And if I know, I'll share it with you, but I don't. So sorry, I got nothing for you this week. You'll find out when we all find out.
I've also kind of landed on this. I don't think it matters if he practices this week. Like,
I don't either. Actually,
like,
I'm with you on that. I actually don't. It's so crazy. I don't think so either.
Yeah. And so I landed on this yesterday. They could not practice him, but he's been so good, so dynamic, using this VR stuff to get mental reps. If he's good to go on Sunday, he's going to go, and he can take up until Sunday. Like, I would say, I kind of compared it to like Drake May yesterday. If Drake May doesn't practice all week, he's not going to start the game on Sunday. Jayden has been so accelerated in everything that he's done. He could not practice all week and he could still start on Sunday. That's where I've landed. So, I mean, I hate to burst like everybody's shows for the next 2 days, but it doesn't matter to me whether he's practicing or not. If he does practice, great, we'll talk about it. But if he doesn't, it still kind of stands firm to me that he can still go on Sunday.
Yes, I agree. And this leads back to what I think is a really interesting dynamic of this, which is, and this is how much things have changed in such a short period of time. We're all now, it went from disbelief to this can't be real. Like, what's going on here? To I think we've all settled into, oh, we got the guy. Like, it's so like, why don't we take it easy with him? You know, like, we're not worried about him. We got the guy. And that's what's different about Chicago, which is, I think, the interesting part of this whole thing. They're the ones that are like, well, we want to see them play, or they'll come up with preposterous conspiracy theories that he's ducking Caleb Williams or things like that. Or they'll say like, oh, like, well, you know, if he loses to Mariota, they're going to freak out. So, but we're secure in all of it. Like, we're the secure ones. Like, we know we've got the right, it happened fast, but we know we've got the right guy. I don't think the Chicago people could possibly think they don't have the right guy right now. If they do, they're as defeatist as any group as I could possibly think of, because I've been watching the Bears. He looks pretty good the last few weeks, albeit similarly like Washington, not playing the greatest opponents when he's looked really good, but still looked really good. They actually have a litany of things that have happened, not unlike us, that are like, not since this year, not since that year, like those type of things are happening for them too. Like, not since they were in the 80s had they scored 5 touchdowns in 2 games in a row. Like, stuff like that is happening for them. So I would think they feel pretty good about it. But this could be for them. I don't think either way with Jayden. Like, this could be for them the, oh crap, we picked the wrong one feeling. Even though I'm of the belief that they're both going to be good. That's what I think. I think they're both going to be good. And I'd like to say that to my Chicago friends. Rest assured, our guy might be better. That's true. Okay. And I think that's why we're so secure in the whole thing, that there's no feeling of, man, we just missed getting the guy. We might have gotten the guy. And I think we all understand it. And I think that's the most fun part of this whole thing this week, that I couldn't have anticipated when it was on the schedule at the beginning of the season. Would we be the ones that feel really, really, really secure in the choice that was made? And I think everybody wants to see him play and everybody wants him to be okay. And most of it actually is, he's okay, right? Like, that's most of the texts I'm getting, because people are just freaked. They don't want to hear that he's hurt, because they're all, now we're PTSD'd RG3. Yeah. Like, oh no, you know, like we can't hurt him yet. He's too good. We can't. And I'm assuring people, I'm like, that's not, I can tell you that much. That's the case here. But they're being careful with him because they can be. They don't feel any urgency with him. And that's the funny part about this matchup, because I think there is just a tiny little bit in Chicago going, oh, maybe we made the wrong choice. And I love that, because it's so good to be on the other side, because it wasn't our choice to make. It was theirs. And I don't think they got it wrong, honestly. But we'll see. And the way it started, our guy's been so good that it's hard not to notice it.
No, and at the same time too, I have pointed it out on our end. But the whole entire offense is breaking these records. We've been a successful franchise. Like for a 10 to 15 year period, we were one of the best franchises, if not the best franchise in the NFL, right? The Bears offenses have never been good. So like for them to break records for me, I'm kind of like, duh. Yeah, you should be breaking those when you have the first overall pick at quarterback. I think what it is with them too is this happens in all sports. When you know you've got a very good player, but there's still one that is better than yours, and it ends up being you can't enjoy it because you're looking over at what the other person has, and you're like, God, that just pisses me off. Because I remember here, it's happened in 2 instances here in Washington. RG3 won Rookie of the Year, not Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck, his career got derailed, but everyone took a look at Luck and said, oh, that's the franchise quarterback. Everyone knows RG3 is probably not going to last, and he didn't. I also look back in the NHL. Alex Ovechkin won Rookie of the Year, not Sidney Crosby. Go look at who has the better career then. So, like, for me, it's also really funny that people freak out over 1 year instead of just letting things play out. They're taking it to another level, though, where they're, like, trying to devalue what Jayden Daniels has done, whereas I think a lot of us here are like, we don't care what you guys do. We're just happy that we have our guy, essentially.
Yes. Williams' numbers have been exponentially different, really, since the first couple of games. He's really kind of turned it around. And they're a little fortunate to have the record that they do because, remember, they got away with that week 1 game where they had they had a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown. Otherwise, they probably would have lost to Tennessee. So it might feel a little different if it wasn't 4-2 and it was 3-3 because the first couple of games they could have, they were 1-2. They easily could have lost their first game. So if it was just 3-3 at this point, I think they would feel a little different than it does right now. But we'll see. And I love how secure we are in this guy. That is the reassuring feeling because you just kept hearing all these things about him. And then every interview from any person you hear about him, it just reinforces we got the guy. And I'm with the team on this one to play, obviously, this weekend. I think it's great for everybody. Like, this is a showcase game. But I don't want to get him any more hurt than he already is. And I'm all for, if he can't play this week because it gets him healed up for the rest of the season, okay. I'm okay with that. If it was the other way around, I think there would be a little more of a freak out with Chicago because I think they'd really want to see it. I don't feel any sense of urgency from our fans to be like, the reason why I want him to play is I really want to see the measuring stick up against the number 1 pick who happens to be from here. We're so secure in who we have. I don't get the sense people are just genuinely concerned about him, not oh my God, we need to see him play so we can judge this. I don't get any of that about it.
Well, no, and it's because this fan base finally has taken on kind of the same, I don't want to say mantra, but same feeling of the new leadership. It's from the ownership to the GM to the coach. It's stay calm, everybody. If he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, Mariota looked pretty good the other day. Everyone just chill out. And I feel like the fan base has kind of embraced that. Not to mention, too, like we've talked about it at length, they don't want another RG3 situation. So I think everyone understands. If he doesn't play, fine. There's plenty of career ahead, is I think what everyone's kind of landed on here.
Yes. And it was really interesting. Like after the Cincinnati game, I remember because going in, everybody was kind of like, hey, here's a big spot. The whole world's going to watch you, and you're playing Joe Burrow and they're getting T. Higgins back and they got to win, and it's at Cincinnati and let's see what it looks like. And nobody thought they were going to win. They were big underdogs, that whole thing. And then they won and they had the crazy moments in the game. And the first thing out of Quinn's mouth was, don't get on the roller coaster. He goes, this is a great win. Don't do it. Don't fall prey to it. We haven't accomplished anything yet. Great win for us. But this is what our expectations are, that we're going to do things like this. And I'll never forget it because he lived it too. That whole week, they were in Arizona. Their head was down. They did not buy into all of the hype. I talked about this a lot. I was like, I want to see how they handle a big win. We don't know. Last week, I wanted to see how do they handle a big loss. I didn't know. Let's see how it goes. They've stayed steady, true. There's been no ups and downs. Whatever he's got them, whatever Kool-Aid he's got them drinking in that locker room, give me some of it because they're bought in. whatever the messaging is, they've got it, and it is filtering down to the fan base. Like, I don't get people freaking out about Daniels getting an injury that clearly is not an extremely serious thing, and everybody's okay with, all right, if he doesn't play against Caleb this time, we'll see it next time. It's fine. We trust that they're doing what's in the best interest of the guy. And that's refreshing and new and different. How many times did Ron say anything that everybody was like, yeah, I'm on board with that? Like, or Jay Gruden, for that matter. How many times did he say things and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm on board with that? This is the first time in a while that we've got a streamlined, like, mission statement that everybody's like, okay, good, I'm on it.
No, I think, well, one, two, Quinn has also proven it already. Like, they've got a winning record. So this is the other difference here too. They've got room to play with their wins and losses at this point in the season. It's not like they are 3-4 and this is a must win to stay in the wild card race. Like, they got a winning record. Their season or their schedule looks, pretty good for the whole second half. Like, I think this is why everyone's staying calm too. You can kind of look ahead and say, okay, it would take a lot to derail this season in a way, outside of an injury, in a way that would make us all panic. I think that's the other part of this too. They've literally already proven it through the first 7 weeks of the season.
I'll tell you another thing too. Like, if he doesn't play, and I really don't know, but if I were to lean, I'd say he's not this week, but I don't know. And if Mariota plays, if they win, now that's where the roller coaster problem gets in, because, whoa, we're that, huh? We're beating 4-2 teams with our backup quarterback? Really? Is that right? And especially if they do it somehow going away in any way. Now that's the one where Quinn's going to have to be like, all right, everybody chill out. Chill out. I know that was good. Everybody needs to chill out a little bit here. So we'll see. I did notice this. We're one of the 4 games that with both teams having winning records this weekend, which really, probably, maybe either sounds interesting to you or not. You're like, well, it's only week 8 or whatever. But 9 games feature teams with 2 or fewer wins. What's going on this year? Like, it feels like we got a lot of bad teams suddenly. And it probably, because I'm used to everybody's kind of the same. The team with the bad injuries, they get in trouble. There's 1 or 2 that are resetting and are very young. They're not very good. That was expected. There's a couple like the Vikings and Commanders that are surprising people and maybe a little ahead of the curve. But everyone else is typically in the middle, and maybe that's where it'll end up. But that's not what's happening right now, almost midway through the season. Like, there's a lot of, at least record-wise, bad teams this year.
I mean, this kind of happened last year, right? Remember Tom Brady had to come out and say there's just a lot of bad football being played? I mean, yes. I think it's just kind of continuing. We've seen it with less practices, with less training camp, with less, team time, essentially. We're seeing sloppier and sloppier play. And I think that's just indicative of the world we're living in the NFL. That players wanted to practice less. The NFL let them, and we're just having sloppier play across the board. I think the microcosm, and I'm a hater, the microcosm of the modern NFL is Will Levis. How is he still starting until last week? Like, the dude just looked like one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. And they kept putting him out there. And I'm like, what are we doing here? He's the epitome of the modern NFL, that it's like, all right, well, we gotta play this out for 6 weeks while the dude is a meme every week. That's the epitome of the modern NFL.
Yeah. it just goes back to the spring too. Every player here showed up to it.
Right.
And there was a whole big deal of the things they did together. And there was a whole big deal of Quinn mixed up the locker room lockers. And he's like, you're all new teammates with one another. Get to know each other. And they did, like, clearly. And you just listen to these interviews that they do about this team, and you're like, I don't know why you guys like each other so much, but, whatever it is, sign me up for that. And can they replicate this? And again, this just goes back to what I've been talking about for a while now. It is clear we're in the midst of a special season. Like, one of the ones that is completely unanticipated. I'm surprised it's happened too. I didn't anticipate it being like this, but because we are, I hope, and I believe they're going to do everything in their power within reason to give them a chance to make it a really, really, really special season. Look around the league. Like, look what that says on your screen right now. 9 games feature teams with 2 or fewer wins. The road is so wide open for them to, at bare minimum, make the playoffs or more, probably dependent on the Philadelphia games that they play and how Philadelphia performs the rest of the season. There's an or more part of this. And they're 3-0 at home for the first time since 2005. They boat raced the last 2 teams they had at home. The crowd's very different there. We're actually staying medium about our quarterback getting injured in the middle of the season and potentially missing a marquee game this weekend. Like, who doesn't want to see him play Caleb Williams? Like, I do. Everybody does. But we're all like, it's cool. We're good. Don't worry about it. This is some kind of ride that we're on. It really is. And I don't know where it's going, but I will tell you that stat, when I saw that, I went, not all of them are going to turn it around. In fact, many of them are going to have crappy records. And in fact, some of them may be thinking about tanking at this point because they go, all right, we're not having this season. Let's dump button, let's get out of this thing. So this is going to be a weird second half of the season with this many teams with those records.
That's why I kind of commend the Rams for throwing out that price for Kupp. They're going, we'll start tanking if it's a second round pick that gets this thing started. So yeah, I mean, you have some teams that could, and they're one of the teams that I think we've talked about them. They could turn it around, honestly, with the way that division's going. But even they're kind of going, if someone wants to kickstart this rebuild, we will happily start it at this point.
Yes. Like the Kupp one is not a giveaway for sure. That one reads totally to me like, come at us with a real thing and we'll do it. Otherwise, we know what kind of professional he is, and he'll be fine when we tell him you're staying here. Yeah. All right, let me take a quick break. Let's get into Jerry Tours next. Bram wants to show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
All right, welcome back. All right, best story, obviously, this is incredible. I mean, not only are we having this kind of magical turnaround, we're the stable team season. Every week now, the Cowboys have some kind of weird story about them. Now, they bring a lot of attention on themselves, which is part of this story, actually. But most of the time, people just pass that off as, well, they're an enormous brand. They're a priceless piece of art. They're America's team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been to the Star. I think I've talked about this here, which is their training facility in Frisco. It is unbelievable. I think I remember I went there when Jason Wright was running around looking for stadium stuff, and I kept talking about Commanderland. I go, all they need to do is go see this. And it's the model for what anybody is going to want to do. They took over a small town in Texas and turned it into Cowboys Town. And because it's Jerry, it's opulent. It's beautiful. Like the whole thing's beautiful. Their training facility is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So amazing. They want to share it with everybody. And what's come out now, okay, because everyone's looking for and I think this is the side of the Cowboy season definitively is going to go off the rails. Every week, there's some kind of story picking out the reasons why they're heading into the land of suck. Like you could feel it from you're all in. What do you mean by all in? To, oh, now you guys are cheap. To, now you guys don't know how to handle contract negotiations. To, let's go over all the mistakes you made in the past as to why you're losing right now. To this one, which these are all coincidental because this story has probably been worked on for a few weeks now. They didn't know those other things were going to happen, but then bam, it pops up yesterday, this story from a writer who I don't know at ESPN who interviewed a ton of people. And it really wasn't like a terrible indictment of the organization. It's just really what it's about is where are your priorities? Are you trying to win? Because giving tours to fans to go through this facility and happen to run into the players, it does not fall in line with we're focused on winning here, but it's not a high crime and misdemeanor for sure. So it falls in this land of, and this is another reason why you guys don't win the big ones. And it's amazing because the quotes are all for all these old ex-players, and some of them are here, and Dante Fowler tried to walk back away from it, basically said, you're in a zoo. And that's just not comfortable. And true. It's true.
This is one of those ones where it's, are you serious about winning or not?
Yes.
It's not anything wrong. Like, it's not anything right, but it's, are you serious about winning?
I agree with that. And and because of where they are, it makes sense. But let's just say this story came out a year ago when they were 12-5. Would it feel the same way? Because one of the things Jerry said, because he did an interview about it and he defended it because they're making a lot of money on it. And he goes, he defended it. But one of the things he defended about it, he goes, we're like over the last, 5-10 years, like number 4 or number 6 in win percentage. So you're telling me we're doing this and we can't win? We are winning. And he makes a good point. Like he's not wrong about that.
Sure. But you and I both know that in football, every single little thing matters when it comes to contributing to wins.
I agree.
And if you're being distracted like that, like I thought actually looking at all of the quotes from the different players, I thought the one that stood out to me the most was Tony Pollard, because Pollard has never been known as this outspoken, kind of like mean guy, whatever. He's been known as just being an NFL pro. He said when he's at the Titans, Bram, like not the Patriots or some place that has this established culture. We're talking about the Titans that are also resetting their culture. He basically said, when I walk in here, I know it's all business and that I feel better mentally and physically. I mean, you know how this works. If you're walking into a place where you know that you're going to be running into random people at your workplace, that affects you. Like, I don't care who you are, that affects you. So I'm with you. Like, it's not wrong, but at the same time, when you ask the players unprompted at all of their new locations how great things are, you know how the other place was.
Yes. The quotes from the current Commanders, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, Noah Igbenogany, they all were quoted in this. All of them basically said the same thing. Fowler said something about the facilities being better, which I know what he meant by that. Trust me, their facilities are better, like overall, but he's saying the work environment is better because it's just work.
Yeah.
And It's funny. It's so interesting because the NFLPA thing, they've been killing the Commanders for years about what the facilities are, what it lacks, all the issues that are going on, all the other things. And they're trying to address that. Some of them they're not going to be able to address. You won't hear anything about infrastructure or stuff like that in Dallas. I'm telling you, it's state of the art and beautiful. They have this basically their own town down there. It's really gorgeous and beautiful. But we also don't have Josh Harris tours going on in the middle of practice. And this team has been very, very careful about shutting out everything, which is probably part of the secret to what's going on here. Like every regime has a lot of rules about what the media can do, what the media can't do, what kind of access people will have, what kind of access they won't. And I will say with this one, and they're all a little bit different, they all typically fall in line, but some are looser than others. This one's not very loose with that, Washington's. And I'm not complaining about it. Like, whatever the rules are. I don't care. I just need to do my job. And if you don't want me here, you don't want me there, I'm totally fine with it. Like, I don't care. I have nothing to do with you winning and losing. And I would prefer to call winning a winning team. So whatever the rules are, what the rules are, I don't care. Every team's a little different. I will tell you, this one is a little more strict than the previous couple that I've been around. And I think part of that is, this really comes from Adam Peters. Like, he wants a very insular, we're here, we're working together. We want you to be at your best. We want to give you the tools to do it. And we want you to be as little distracted as possible, even though that's impossible to avoid all the things that are happening. In Dallas, it's the opposite. As many things that could possibly, be in and around you by being part of the Cowboys, Jerry's open to it. But to his point, he said, we are winning a lot, maybe not right now, but we are. So if you're telling me that this is the reason why we're losing, why didn't you tell me that over the last 2 years when we had 24 combined regular season wins? And we had what everybody admits are disappointing playoff losses. Like, we were upset in the playoffs. So I'll hear him on that part that, like, you guys are finding an interesting time to point this out to me because we happen to be 3-3 and not 5-1 like we've been the last couple of years.
Well, this rolls into like another workplace issue, though. Like, you've worked at places like this. I've worked at places like this where there could be something weird going on and something that people don't like, but hey, you're making money, so you can't really bitch about some of the things that you don't like. I think this is one of those instances. This is what the players are going, God, why do I have to deal with random fans at my workplace every single day? And some other player is going, yeah, but we're winning a lot, so what are you going to do? Like, you can't complain about it because things are good. Well, the second they're at 500 now, halfway through the season, this is also why we're probably hearing about it a little bit. I do have one question on it, though. Are they giving these tours when they're in the playoffs? Because I think okay,
no, they said they shut them down around. There was a quote in there that said they shut them down at that point. So they decide at that point that's what it's going to be. But like, did you watch the Netflix Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show?
I did.
All right. It's really good. Okay. Yeah. Like, it's really, really good. And most of it's in the off season, obviously. And you don't really see very little access between them and the players, except on game day when they're out there and they kind of give you this inside access to the whole thing. But that's disruptive. Like, this is why teams don't want to do Hard Knocks. It's extraordinarily disruptive. They don't want a bunch of strangers walking around, poking into their business, hiding behind walls and weight rooms, trying to get shots of them. Like, they don't want that. And for the players too, like, there were a number of quotes that were like, these people were like tapping on the glass while we're working out or we're eating. They're like, we're humans, guys. I know. I step in your shoes and go, yeah, it's cool to hang out with Micah Parsons. I agree with you. But like, dude, just because you paid $5 doesn't mean you need to interrupt my breakfast.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
No, I think like where I'm landing on all of this is would Belichick allow this? The answer is no.
No, like, he's 100%. Laughing at this. In fact, I can't wait till he goes on whatever show he goes on next and they ask him about it, because it's the perfect question to ask him about, because he's going to kill them over it.
And in fact, like, Belichick ain't letting you get in through the front door, right? Unless you have a key card. Like,
what's funny about that too is how many people thought he would replace McCarthy in Dallas. No chance would he work in an environment like that. There's no chance he would work in an environment like that.
No chance. It's not just Belichick too, though. The serious head coaches are not going to let that happen. And now I think now we're starting to learn. It's because they have all these little things, and there are probably some coaches going, oh, we're not going to deal with that. Like, come on now. And here's the other part that's funny too, is Jerry wants to like make some of these comments about financial decisions. And I'm going, dude, you're selling out people to go to your tours at the practice facility. You got to be making bank off of that, because I know you said $5, but I bet you it's way more expensive than that too. It's $40. Okay. So $40 times 30 times a bunch of tours. I mean, he's making a good amount of cash on
$10 million. They said.
Yeah.
Now, he also said this, and I thought this was also fair to say. He said, that's part of football revenue, which means we split that with the players. So,
okay. All right.
Whatever that means. But he's like, that's part of the whole thing. I thought this quote was good. This is Jaron Curse who said this one. He said, you're walking by the tour guide. They're pulling the fans to the side, and you hear them say, oh, that's CeeDee Lamb. That's CeeDee Lamb. And he goes, like Dalton Schultz said, because he called it a zoo. He said, it's kind of like you're in the zoo, and the kids are going to see a lion. That's not a reason why we didn't get over the hump, though. But I just don't think it really equates to winning. It has nothing to do with us winning the game. And I think that's where this is. He's admitting we can't use this as an excuse that on Wednesday, a bunch of people walked by us while we were, in between like weights lifting and practice. Like, you can't sit there and say that that's the reason why you lost, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help. And so Jerry, when asked about complaining, because all the players are complaining about it, he goes, did anyone complain? He said, never, not one time. But and this is what he said, but the most important thing is it wouldn't make any difference, period.
Right.
He's basically saying, we're the Cowboys. We're very popular. People want proximity to us. We make money in a lot of different ways. You got to put up with it. It's part of the deal. And it's not going to be for everybody. For some people, there's probably some Cowboys that probably are going, I don't care about this. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it has nothing. Like, I don't know. I'd love to ask Dak or Micah, like the two stars of the team, and go, or CeeDee Lamb, who's named in this. What do you really think about all this? Is it like, but I do find it interesting. Like, it's a really good piece. But if they put this out a year ago when they were on a 12-win team, would it hit the same way? Because we haven't won 12 games since the 80s. And we don't have tours. So I don't know.
I mean, I think Jerry's quote at the end of that too, though, resonated with me being a Commanders fan. That his quote at the very end of that article basically said, do these tours make us miss tackles or, drop a ball or not get, past the first down marker or whatever? And I would argue no, because we made that argument a million times here in Washington, but I'll say it doesn't help. Like, at the end of the day, it just doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
Like, that's what I'm getting at here. It's not bad, but it doesn't help your players.
I agree. And I agree with him on that, but he is, he is staunchly he doesn't want to hear any complaints.
Right.
And he's also, and you know what, on that front too, like on the complaints of him, like it's interesting. Like I see his perspective. He feels like, as we've put it, he's losing his fastball. He feels like he's getting old. He's very word salady when he does these answers now. That feels a little both of that, losing the fastball, getting old, all of that stuff. At the same time, nobody has been more successful as a businessman in this league than him.
Yeah.
It's not close. So he can defend himself all he wants on that, and he's right to do so. And like, yeah, they haven't won the big ones, and Stephen A makes fun of them, but they've won a lot. Like, especially recently, they just haven't gotten over the hump. And if anybody actually wants to complain that it was that weirdo on the tour on Thursday morning who was wearing a Ed Too Tall Jones jersey and seemed a little too happy to see everybody, like, I'm sorry, but I get it. That's weird. It doesn't help. But I'll hear Jerry out on, don't tell me that's why you missed a tackle in the NFC Championship game. I don't want to hear it. And I agree with him on that. I do.
Can I throw one thing out here? Dan got in trouble for a while ago for charging to get into training camp. Does that mean any team personnel can pay the $40 and go on this tour?
That's a good question.
Because
could a scout from the 49ers pay $40 and go on the tour and just put on a Tony Romo jersey and act like he's a Cowboys fan?
And what I'm getting at here is, like, I'm actually I'm not worried about the players. I want to know what's written on those whiteboards. I want to see, like, what's up on all the meetings, because apparently you can see into those things. So I'm just saying here, like, if I'm the Commanders,
somebody saying they saw Micah Parsons limping.
Yeah, there you go. Like, so I don't know, if I'm the Commanders, I'm like putting someone up at a hotel over there and taking that tour once a week. Like, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, is that possible? I think it is if it's a paying thing. So that's how you get it shut down. You get teams taking the tours. That
would be pretty good. Now there's going to be some muckraker who's going to go in there and then do a viral video of it.
Yep. Exactly.
I went on the Jerry tour. Here's what I saw.
Yep.
That's what you're going to get. All right, we'll be right back. Bram wants to show ESPN 630 Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. I don't know if you saw the Clippers' new stadium, which debuted last night. It's pretty wild looking. Very cool. Good job, Steve Ballmer. Not here to complain. It's beautiful. It's amazing looking. I'd love to see it. It's right next to SoFi, if you're wondering where it is. It looks like a little bit like the Atlanta Falcons stadium on the outside, sort of like it was, dropped out of outer space too. Very, very architecturally modern. I did not get a chance to go inside when we went when we went to see them play the Rams a year ago, but it's very cool looking. I will say this though, like I saw like the openings of it, and I appreciate this, but there's just on some level, it's like it's too grandiose for what actually walks on the court. Like when Kawhi Leonard's in jeans and not playing, and it's just James Harden, who's still a little overweight for the start of the season, and they're just shooting off fireworks and doing all these crazy different graphics and all this stuff. It kind of lands flat for me. But you know what? You guys have a nice time. Beautiful stadium you've built out there.
Yeah, but at the same time, as we just talked about with Jera and those tours or whatever, this doesn't hurt the Clippers. Like, if somebody's on the fence and they see this really nice arena that they get to walk into every day, I don't know. It could help. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. As aforementioned earlier, the Wizards start their on-purpose ugly season this evening against Boston. I think they'll lose 140-62. So there's that. So there's that.
It's not going to be that bad.
But... No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. The Caps had a weird one last night. So I was watching. They got up 4-0 on the Flyers and were skating them off the ice and had 3 goals in like 4 or 5 minutes in the second period. And it looked like it was just going to be like a whatever because it was second of a back-to-back. And then the Flyers, I'll give Torch some credit here. They got pissed and they got back in the game. And then we were hanging on for dear life for like the whole third period. We were hanging on for dear life. They could have tied or taken the lead a million times. And then in the end, they pulled their goaltender early and then pulled him again. And that's why the score ended up what it was. That was a weird one. I felt like that was a whole season in one game last night. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, look, was a Tortorella team really going to lay down for you for 6 whole periods? No. So when they finally went down 4-0, I was kind of like, let's see what they've got. And they finally started chipping away. Look, they're an NHL team over there at the end of the day. They were going to only stay down for so long. Yeah, it was a weird one. But once again, the Caps have done this in every single game. They lock down when things get really close like that. In the third period, they got some big saves from Thompson. I've really liked what I've seen from him so far. He and Lindgren, by the way, are just about even. Nobody's really taken that first goal, that number 1 spot. But I've been telling you this through this 5-game win streak. This defense core locks down very, very well when they really need to. And so Philly got a few, through, but then they locked down at the end.
I think everybody's going to fall in love with this Chikrin guy.
I told you about him too. He's a beast. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I told you to watch him last night.
Wilson's back. That line, I knew it. The second I heard they put that line together, that Wilson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, McMichael line, it's woken McMichael up. Yep. Wilson's back and healthy. It's going to be their best line throughout the year. No doubt about it. It's going to be, and it's formidable.
The best part about this is they're winning, they're scoring, and the top line hasn't even started going yet. It's going to take Ovechkin a little bit to go. He's already got 2 goals. One of them was an empty netter last night, but once he gets going too, I mean, this is you're cooking with gas right now. I think I said it yesterday a little bit to you, like the tingly feeling is starting. I'm not going to say they're going to be special or anything like that, but they're not unlike the Commanders, had all of these new faces come in and they've gelled very, very fast, way faster than I thought they would. And that's kind of the recurring storyline over these first 6 games. Now that they've won 5 in a row, they're all trying to figure out how to play with each other, and they have, and they're not all going yet. That's the best part.
We started with an upside-down NFL season. Let's end with it. Vikings get the Rams tonight. If I told you at the beginning of the year that the Rams would be the ones looking to trade off a bunch of stars and the Vikings would be have the best record in the NFC, would you have believed that? I wouldn't have, but here we are, guys. Here we are. It is in LA. See, this screams a McVay special, but I just don't like the way they're playing. So I'll take the Vikings in a close game, but Thursday night games, I will not be shocked. I really wouldn't. I would not be shocked. I don't totally buy the staying power of the Vikings being like this, like a 13-4 team. I'm waiting for a Sam Darnold looks like Sam Darnold game again. So is that tonight? Maybe not. So I'll on the record take, but in a close game.
I think Minnesota wins this. It'll be close because it's Thursday night, not because of the teams. The Thursday night games are always seemingly a little bit sloppy. I think it was Mina Kimes. I watched a clip of her yesterday, and she had a really good point. With the Vikings defense and Brian Flores being super aggressive, every team is in survival mode the second they enter the game, whereas the Lions the other day went for the kill from the beginning, and it ended up paying off. They ended up winning. The Rams don't have that dog in them. So Vikings win this one. It's going to be close because it's a Thursday night game, but I don't think it stays particularly close is what I'm getting at.
All right. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Bram watch the show. ESPN 630 Sports Capital.